Life in the world of Aeonius, Greek for without beginning or end, is harsh, cruel, short, and ultimately a mistake. Two sides locked into eternal conflict. Keves versus Agnes. Black versus white. Natural versus unnatural. Feminine versus masculine. Numbers versus letters. Basically different in all ways, except not quite. Both Keves and Agnes alike can only live for 10 years. Both sides must fight to fill the flame clock, or they die. Both sides suffer loss, desire freedom, want revenge, hope for peace. Both sides are human. They fight because it's all they ever were told. It's all they ever could do. Born in test tubes, they know not the loving embrace of a mother, nor the protection of a father. They know not what it means to love, to embrace, to bear children. They came from nothing, only having a few years, if that, to establish some sort of identity. And then they leave nothing behind. And so the cycle continues, an endless war. The worst part of it all, they do not even know why the world is this way. Why must they fight and die? The mysterious figures in charge are called consuls. Both Keves and Agnes have them. These consuls are part of an organization called Mobius, a fitting reference to an unending and twisted shape. Mobius are immortal figures who live by consuming the life harvested from the Keves and Agnes through the flame clocks. What this means is that all humans are essentially chattel, fit for the slaughter for these higher beings. Fittingly, Keves in Hebrew and Agnes in Latin both mean lamb, generally of the sacrificial kind. But why does Mobius, these immortal figures, even exist? It's due to a machine called Origin. To summarize, two worlds were on the path to collide, Allrest and Bionis. Two beings, Nia and Malia, worked together to create Origin in response, out of fear that when the two worlds merged, all life would be destroyed. They made a machine capable of digitizing the souls of all life in order to preserve them. Nobody knows what will happen once the worlds merge, but if the world is habitable, then life would be restored through their efforts. However, when the time came, just as the merge was to happen, Origin malfunctioned, so to say. The collective fear of the unknown, of the potential end of all things, made manifest in the figure called Z. Z, this consciousness born of Origin, would save life as intended, but not through preservation. Instead, Z would create a simulated world, Aeonius. This simulated world would have no end, no change. In order to ensure this, Z created Mobius. Mobius's job was to make sure the simulation would never be broken. In order to achieve this, the life which was stored in Origin must be kept in ignorance, kept in fear, kept from changing. And so the eternal war was created. Origin, what was originally planned to be an arc of sorts to lead humanity forward into an unknown future, was twisted into a tool which established an endless loop in the present. Forever now, never forward. Neither hell nor heaven, but an everlasting limbo. That's where the exposition ends on my part. The rest of the story is on how Noah and friends decide to break the cycle and embrace the uncertain future, regardless of fear. Now I'd like to look at these themes which give rise from such a detailed setting and plot. Evidently, there are a few central themes present throughout the narrative, though the one which most stuck out to me is Xenoblade's attempt at exploring what the meaning of life is. The setting in which the story takes place is set up to be antithetical to life. It's treated with such disdain, literally fodder for the grinder. People are born with no familial connections. They don't get a childhood of discovery nor the embrace of a lover, and certainly not a life of proud legacy. They're kept in complete ignorance. Your only purpose is to run the rat race of trying to gain ranks for a slightly more comfortable existence on the battlefield. But even if you do succeed and reach gold, your reward is a swift death by Mobius. It's all a cruel joke. And so when you take a few people from opposing sides of this world system, it's like watching newborn chicks try to fly, learning what love is, what it means to leave a legacy, to have freedom of choice, to have a purpose, all hopelessly awkward figuring it out. Perhaps my favorite scene is the crew's first interact with a baby. The awe in their eyes, the glee in their voices. You can tangibly see their whole world, their whole perceptions on what life is, expanding with just a single touch. This is strongly contrasted by Mobius, figures who do not desire to learn, or to grow, or to change. They only want to preserve the present and indulge in their desires. They have all given into fear, into isolation, into selfishness, into a nihilistic, purposeless existence. Though Ouroboros are mortal, their clocks ticking away, so to say, they embrace life as it's meant to be. Mobius, on the other hand, though they have infinite time, simply cannot. Forever living in fear of the future cannot be called living. An eternal cycle of reincarnation, of which your memory is reset time and time again, forever chained to the present, cannot be called living. But what really is life? In Xenoblade 3, all of these people are so-called digitized souls. This is impossible, even in the most extreme of sci-fis, for souls are immaterial. At best, these souls are advanced computer programs implanted into a materially accurate, reconstructed body which mimics what that person might do in any given situation. This means that all the originals truly died when Origin did the merge. But if we suspend our disbelief, bend our imaginations to allow the Origin machine to have committed a divine act, then still, would a copy of Data truly be the original? I'd say no, because the so-called Data operates in a different space and time. But does that mean these copied digital lives have no true meaning? It's hard to say. It begs the question of what a soul is. The great Catholic philosopher St. Thomas Aquinas would say that the human soul is the form of the human being, which is a matter-form composite. It is also rational. This means that it possesses both an intellect and a will. This is distinct from animals and plants who do not possess these qualities. This is why In and Noah, though they Aristotelianly have the same accidents, they are indeed separate entities. They operate a different intellect, a different will, and operate a different space and time. This is the reason why the Aeonius versions of the humans are erased completely, and the original versions ought not remember anything that happened there, because it wasn't them. Of course, the scene where Noah seems to remember the sound of Mio's flute contradicts this illogically. But then again, those two are illogical, as stated by Z. Fate is used as a sort of cop-out, and though it's sweet, it doesn't really work in the philosophy department of this reality. Considering this, it is interesting how Xenoblade 3 has this concept of one's soul temporarily departing from their body and yet eventually returning. Though sort of poorly executed and lacking consistency, is much like the Christian concept of heaven before the resurrection and eventually new heavens and new earth. I very much appreciated the religious undertones found throughout the whole game. The people of All Rest and Bionis' souls go to a sort of heaven, which in-universe is a non-supernatural machine named Origin. But instead of an actual heaven, it is instead a hell-like limbo, in-universe the Ionis simulation. And through Noah and friends' efforts, the souls are returned to their bodies in a sort of resurrection. It is fitting to compare Ionius to hell rather than heaven, considering how absolutely terrible it is. And then it makes Noah freeing the captives a parallel to Jesus' harrowing of hell, in which he sets the Old Testament saints free. Xenoblade 3 also asks the question, are we merely our memories? Upon death, humans do not retain their memories as their bodies are reconstructed in the pods. Though, as shown through Uni, sometimes these memories remain in some capacity. Are we merely our genetic code? To try and clarify, is Uni body number 2 the same person as Uni body number 1? Or are they indeed separate entities? I do not believe that memories are synonymous with one's soul, so I think it's probable they are indeed the same, though the game may disagree. Thomistic philosophy would claim memory is more than a collection of sense storage, that there is a type of memory that is immaterial. Therefore, it is not something a machine could just replicate when creating a new body. Though new body is misleading, it is really a different body, though exactly the same in its accidentals. Therefore, memory serves as proof of personhood. Memory is just another running theme, passing on one's will, hopes, dreams, and leaving it on to someone else is a form of living on, a way of meaning. That is ultimately the message of Xenoblade 3. Choose life over stagnation, over living in the past or stuck in the present. Look to the future, carrying the memories of the past with resolve forward. No matter how scary the unknown may seem, life is beautiful at all stages, and you owe it to yourself to experience all you've been given the privilege of having. Childhood to deathbed. Leave a legacy behind and embrace the unknown of death. Fear not that it is the end, but embrace it as a new beginning. But those are just some quick thoughts on Xenoblade's themes. It would take hours and hours to go in depth about what is a soul, what is life, what is memory. Philosophers have been debating and discussing this for thousands and thousands of years. But hey, if you like my thoughts and you want to hear more content like this, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Also, talk about it in the comments. I would love to engage with you guys on it.